retro game hunting time in this mammoth 5-location episode. And we're starting here in a mobile phone shop actually, because this was a surprise find as we ventured onto the Eagle Market in the Derbian Mall in Derby. Bit of a mouthful there. And I actually learnt something in this store. I was going to buy some things, but then I realised that the owner said that he also owned Mobile Game Exchange in Derby, and again, I'm not a big fan of that shop. And I actually cut the camera for a conversation in which I challenged him about buying things from charity shops for cheap and then selling them at ridiculous prices in the actual store. He denied it, of course, but I heard it from the staff's mouth themselves, so I actually didn't buy anything in here. So I wouldn't recommend it at all. But obviously you can make your own decisions. They had some average games, nothing really to shout about. The prices were a little bit ridiculous. You'll actually see some Amiga CD32, which was, to be fair, credit where credit's due, was pretty darn nice to see in the wild, if I'm absolutely honest with you. But I was going to buy, I think it was the Lynx, the pouch at the front that you saw. Here are the CD32 games, and of course a 3DO game of which I own, and then a little 3DO game at the back. So I think in terms of this being a nice surprise store, it is a thumbs up from that sense. But when I found out, like I said, he said, oh, you need to check out my other shop here in Derby. And I was like, oh, cool, where? And then he told me that, and I was like, I'll pass, but thank you very much. But cool stuff. And then obviously we saw some Japanese stuff on another little store. I'm not actually counting this as a location, but this was a little anime store on the Eagle Market, so I'm just merging this in to location 1. But then Jess and I stopped off and we found the most majestic brownies you have ever tasted in your life. Brownies for the win. I actually ended up buying 5 because you got one free. So now we had our brownies and then we came over to cash converters, as sometimes you can drop on the odd bit of retro. Now here's an interesting story for you. There wasn't that many games in here, but there was a chap that works in here. And as we were leaving, he actually gave me a bit of a tip-off, and he said that he'd sold a lot of his retro game collection, particularly the Super Nintendo, to Retro World. Now, Retro World is just at the back of this shop, and I hadn't planned to go in here on this trip because I was in there filming for an episode about 4 weeks ago. But I kind of figured if they'd had a bulk and boatload of stock, why not check it out? So I actually did a little YouTube short and teased some of the boatload of stock, and to be absolutely honest, I'm glad I went in because, oh, this is stuck, holy crap. But I'm actually glad we went in because this will be Retro World Location 3, which is coming up next. And here it is, £499 for Castlevania Symphony of the Night. There was Clock Tower there, and then some of the SNES games which are more higher value things. There was the 2 consoles that you see there, they were new. Kind of get a bit of a zoom in. We've got an NTSC Super Nintendo, that was nice to see. You don't see them a lot in the wild, especially here in the UK. Now I have one, so I wasn't in the market for it. But this is the bulk of the SNES stock. All of the games, every single one of the games in here I owned. So I didn't buy any games, but I did buy something, and I will show you, as always in every retro game hunt that I do, I always show you the pickups at the end of the video. So I simply had to come here based on that tip-off And like I say, I'm glad I did, because to be honest with you, my stomach did feel pretty awesome. It did that little, when you go over a speed bump and you get that whooshing feeling in your tummy. I kind of got that feeling when I saw Castlevania Symphony of the Night, because it's so obscure. But like I said, I'm going to get a Japanese version. I have a region-free PlayStation, a modded one, and I think I don't care about the fact that I won't be able to read Japanese. I want it, but I don't want to pay £500. So let me know what you think. If you think £499 sterling is a good price on Symphony of the Night, I want to hear from you. Now, one of the great things about Retro World in Derby is their plethora of magazines, and they had even more in. The prices range from £3 to £10. Little bit steep if you ask me. And I don't know which ones I have. I think it's going to be part of my organising mission in my Lady Loft and my Lady Lounge to actually catalogue my magazines. So when I go to places like this, I can pick out the ones that I think I want to read and I think I need without fear of getting doubles. So magazines have a massive thumbs up. Next up is the piss-ridden stench of CEX. This is, obviously we're in Derby, because you've already watched the video and I've already mentioned where we are. And their retro stock was average. Prices are skyrocketing here. I spoke recently in a CEX episode I did about the price of Silent Hill 2. You saw it there at £35. Again, I remember purchasing that from CEX about maybe 2014, but I think it was £8, either £8 or £12. And boy, am I glad I did. So we stepped inside and obviously clenching my nose as it stinks in here. And obviously we've got a little bit of retro going on here. You will see other stuff because I actually take a look at the back with some PS2, some GameCube. And there wasn't anything in here again that I actually needed or wanted. Crash 2, to be fair, at £10 had come down in price a little bit. So I didn't think that was too bad for a Crash Bandicoot game. So PSP, just taking a little peek here. Ridge Racer 2, wasn't actually sure if I need that or not. So again, I do need to really pull up my socks with my cataloguing on my video game collection. But I didn't actually buy anything in here. But I actually saved my really big purchase to the 5th location, Afterburner for a tenner. Again, a nice one you don't actually see around that often. And we take a little skip back, or rather I take a little skip back to the GameCube on the top shelf. Wii U, check that out. Slim pickings on the Wii U. Resident Evil here, grabbing that on the Cube. That, I think, has come down in price massively. What is it, £10? That used to be significantly higher in price. But I think what's happening is there's so many reboots now of Resident Evil that it's probably dropped in value a little bit. I'm just kind of breezing over it here, looking, thinking, you know what, there's nothing I want. Silent Hill collection, got it. I think it was a £32 actually, £32. I would love to see another Silent Hill game. I don't think we're going to get it. I would actually love to see a Silent Hill 2 remake. But again, I don't think we're going to get that. But this game, my colleague at work's been talking about it. Eye of Judgment used to utilise cards with the game. Let me know if you've played it. Same day, different part of the Midlands, because we took a ride up to Sheffield, which took us about 45 minutes due to road closures, and Jess said there were some charity shops that she wanted to check out that happened to be on a stretch of road as Game and Movie. So we are in Game and Movie now, and this is the front of the shop. I didn't actually show the PSP games or any of the front of the shop really when I last visited here, and there wasn't a great deal in this little section that I wanted, but I thought I'm going to show my audience a little bit more here because the main cartridge based stuff is in the back. Now I'm pointing at these two Lara Croft box statues there, little figurines, because again, I happened to come across all 6 of them in my childhood retro game store in Alfreton Sales and Exchange, approximately in an episode 3 weeks ago. If you want to check it out, I implore you to go and check that episode out, because there's some really meaty, juicy stuff in there. And Barry, the owner of Game and Movie, told me that the day after I put that episode out, he kind of watched the episode and said, I'd never seen those figures. And then what do you know, 2 people walked into his shop, bam, traded in 2 figures. And I jokingly said, maybe they'd seen the episode and thought, I have them in the attic, I'm going to go and trade them in. So I like to think that I'm having a little bit of a positive dent on the retro gaming community. And, people often tell me they've watched my videos and they go to certain shops. It's really cool. And it's unfortunate that I've heard of 2 retro game shops recently that are closing down because they can't get the footfall. So I recycle what money I make from YouTube back into these episodes, supporting local businesses, helping people to continue. That's what I feel passionate about. It's not about profit, it's about passion and perpetuating the love for video games. Places like this we need to keep alive. So please, if you have any recommendations on where you think I should go in the UK, drop me a comment or hashtag Team24 so I can kind of check it out on Twitter and we can visit more cool places. And just a quick shout out to Jess as well for her steady work on the camera. You absolute legend. I will link Jess's channel in the description. My wifey, go and check her out. Now, just checking out some Master System games here. I don't know what I'm pointing at there right at the back, but we actually clocked this Virtual Boy in with some Japanese games, so that was really, really nice. Virtual Boys you don't see in the wild too often. I do have one. I picked one up for £300 about, I think it was the beginning of 2020, could have been beginning of 2019. But if I see Virtual Boys out, it tends to be at the retro gaming markets. Speaking of which, I believe we are due for a Doncaster announcement very soon. I think it's October, so I will be going to that. So do keep your eye out on Facebook at the Gebs24. I announce all of the markets I'm going to and events that I think you guys might be interested in. So here I'm just scoping through the Nintendo 64 stuff, and out of my periphery drops this canvas artwork of Link from The Legend of Zelda. I actually don't need any canvases, but I think once my plastering is finished in the lady loft, there may be some more canvases going up, and my plastering is finally getting finished at the end of this month, so you can expect mammoth in-depth video game room tours of the Lady Lounge and the Lady Loft. Now, I was listening to the Retro Hour podcast, as I do every single week, and they obviously mentioned the new Alone in the Dark trailer. So I was looking here and I was checking if they had Alone in the Dark in. Lo and behold, Alone in the Dark, which I've never played on the PlayStation 2. Not that one, this one. So I've since as I record this voiceover, I've since started a live stream of this over on my Twitch channel. I do live stream on Twitch as well, twitch.tv/thegebs24 if you want to come and hang out and just talk about some nostalgia, videos, video games, movies, everything. So it's really good. I was quite surprised actually. A little bit of lag between the tank control scenes. You go from one little scene to the next, and there's a slight few second pause, which is a bit annoying, but the more I played it, the more I got used to it, and I became pretty engrossed in what I was doing. So I'm excited to continue to stream that. I'm always on the lookout for horror games. I love my horror, and I love streaming racing games. So we've had some great fun on Twitch over this last weekend. So spoiler alert, I did pick that up, but I did actually pick up as well, and you're probably gonna see it in this episode because I clocked a Super Nintendo variant that I didn't have. Whoa, stop the press. Now, Nikki is a lovely chap over on my Facebook group, the Gebs24, And he messaged me and he was like, ha ha ha, you haven't got this variant. Well, Nikki, I've got news for you, because I picked up that variant, which you'll see very shortly, in this retro game hunt. And to be fair, it wasn't a bad price. If you check out all of the prices on the consoles, not too shabby at all. And it's good that everything is priced, because I never trust a video game shop that doesn't price their items. Well, I was going to say the name of the shop then as I sarcastically coughed, but I won't. But I have been in a few, and if you're familiar with this playlist, you'll see it really annoys me. Look, here I am, checking it out there. See if Jess pans to it. Come on. Come on. And there it is. It's the SNES Action Pack. We're going to take a look at that in more depth in a split second. But before we do, Super Nintendo games. Super Nintendo games. Hello. I bumped into Jess there. Sorry, Jess. I didn't pick up anything from the SNES game range as I had them all. I'm probably going to go in for the bigger hitter titles now. But if there's anything you can suggest that might be an obscure Super Nintendo title, feel free to reach out to me. And if you have any games for sale, again, do reach out to me. Just drop me a DM over on Facebook. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Shout out to Barry as well. He's been in this shop 17 years. Go and check them out. I think they're on London Road, just as you're going into Sheffield, as you come out of Chesterfield. It's very easy to find, and the parking is pretty awesome too. The charity shops leave a little bit to be desired, as we barely found any games, and the ones we did were so common and trashy, it's just not worth your time going in to the darn charity shops. A really nice range of handheld games and handheld consoles in. This seems to have bolstered out since I last came in here, so that was really, really nice to see. In fact, there was quite a good range of the stock being flipped, I noticed. Things didn't look too familiar as I went in, and I always say that that's a great sign. But you can see for yourself here, there's some really nice stuff. A couple of figurines in there, just some geeky Halloween stuff, Fire Emblem. Really great price on the Game Boys here. Really enjoyed that, and Jess pointing out, of course, the Lara Croft. I think it was a keyring or a chain or something. It was really, really cool. So super duper wicked. And earlier in the episode, I don't know if you clocked the Pokemon Great Ball that they had in. That was only 70. They retail at 100. So that was nice to see. We've got some Silent Hill titles up there. But how flipping expensive have Silent Hill got on the PlayStation 1? It can range up to like £50 now. I remember paying £20 for it and thinking that even that was expensive. So if you get a chance to buy a cheap copy of Silent Hill on the PS1, get it. Absolutely get it. So this is the one I had my eye on. Now it is missing the top flap of the cardboard. There's no manuals. There's no kind of plastic inserts, you know, like the bags or anything like that. And obviously I have all of these individually. I think this must be my 15th SNES variant. Could be more actually. I have the scope as well. I just need a good CRT TV now to play it on. But when my lady loft is complete, I'm going to get a tiny little CRT up there with a gorgeous SNES corner. So what we're going to do, we're going to head back to the lady lounge, and I'm going to show you what I picked up on this 5-location trip. Please subscribe, leave a like, and I will share anything if you use hashtag Team24 on Twitter. So it'll be a massive help to me if you could share this episode out. Cheers, guys. I need a few seconds of your time to tell you about channel memberships. If you guys want to become a channel member, click join from the main page or the second link in the description. There are 3 tiers, all with different perks for you if you want to become a team member. Thanks for your time. Let's continue with the video.